Good day, everyone. I'm from Group 3, Session 4. My name is Yvonne Itzison. My matrix number is DE190014. Today, our group are going to present about that for soldering desoldering technique. Before doing the soldering process, explain the things need to pay attention to. Before start soldering, it is necessary to prepare soldering iron by thinning the tips of solder. This process will help improve the heat transfer from iron to the item want to solder. Tining will also help to protect the tips and reduce wear. Firstly, make sure the tip is attached to the iron and screw tightly in place. Then turn on soldering iron and let it heat up. If it was a soldering station with an adjustable temperature control, set it to 400 degrees Celsius. Next, wipe the tips of soldering iron on a damp white sponge to clean it. Wait a few seconds to let the tips heat up again before processing to the next step. Last but not least, hold the soldering iron in one hand and solder in the other. Touch the solder to the tips of iron and make sure the solder flow evenly around the tip. Another point is thin the tips of iron before and after each soldering session to extend its life. Eventually, every tip will wear out and will need replacing when it becomes rough and pitted. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Ching Wei Nun, matrix number AE1X0098. So now I will explain about the question of state the equipment used to perform the soldering process, which is the soldering iron, soldering lead, flux, and hot air blower. The soldering lead is the most important equipment when doing the soldering process. It used to connect the pin of the component to the thread on the PCB. Next is the soldering iron. It's used to melt the soldering lead to attach the component on the PCB. While some people also use hot air blower, but the hot air blower is more to on the position adjustment of the component. The last thing is the soldering flux. It's used as the catalyst to ease the soldering process. By applying flux on the soldering pad, it can track the heat and focus on the soldering pad, so the melted soldering lead will be easily stick on the pin of the component.
Hi, my name is Farna Binti Hassan, CE180071. So I will continue presenting for that for soldering and desoldering technique. So I will present for question 3. Describe the thing to pay attention to when installing component on PCB. My answer is when putting component on PCB, make sure the copper track are clean first, especially if they have not been treated with solder. Use an adhesive rubber block such as one available from electronic vendor to carefully clean any raw PCB copper trace. Second, the first thing you should do when installing your component is make sure they all have enough space. Each connections are usually placed first as they are required by mechanical design. Then when insert a component on PCB, make sure it's installed exactly as it was in schematic. That's all for me. Thank you.
The last question is about the other alternative way of soldering technique beside a manual soldering to assemble the components. The alternative way soldering technique is the surface mount technology, which is SMT. It's a technique that solder the component onto the PCB surface through fully machine. And this technology is normally used by the electronic manufacturing factories. There are three types of machine in the production line of SMT. The first one is a stencil printer, a machine that applies the soldering paste to the stencil. The stencil is a nickel plate that punctured with the hole of the PCB component, PCB connection pad. The next machine is the pick and place machine, a machine that used to play the components on the PCB, and the component will be stored inside a reel. Last machine is refill soldering oven, a oven that used to solder the component onto the PCB. In the refill oven, there is different stage to melt the soldering paste, and at the same time, the heat won't destroy the component on the PCB surface. And lastly, the end product of this production line, we call it as a PCBA. The PCBA stands for Printed Circuit Board Assemble, which is the PCB that full of component on the surface. That's all for me. Thank you.